I canceled my son's surprise 16th birthday party 2 hours before it started. My wife and I have one son, Trevor. He's always been the type of kid who plans everything down to the minute. Color codes his school binders, keeps a planner for his homework, even maps out his weekend gaming sessions with friends, the complete opposite of spontaneous. So when his 16th birthday was coming up, he told us exactly what he wanted. Dinner at his favorite steakhouse with just the three of us, then back home to play the new game he'd been saving up for. Simple, quiet, very Trevor. My wife said that sounded perfect, and asked him to text her the restaurant name. He seemed happy, sent her the info, and went back to studying. I thought that was the end of it. Fast forward to the morning of his birthday. Trevor comes into our bedroom holding his planner. He shows me that he's blocked out 5 to 7 p.m. for birthday dinner, and asks if that still works. I told him absolutely, and he actually smiled. He said he'd been stressed about exams, so a quiet night sounded perfect. About an hour later, my wife calls me at work. She's excited, talking fast, and tells me she's been planning a surprise party for weeks. She'd rented out the community center, invited his entire junior class plus extended family, hired a DJ, ordered a massive cake. I asked when she was planning to tell him. She laughed and said that's why it's called a surprise party. I reminded her that Trevor specifically asked for a quiet dinner with just us. She said he only asked for that because he didn't know a party was an option. I told her Trevor doesn't like surprises. She said every teenager wants a big party, and that our son just needed to learn to be more social. I said he has friends. He just prefers small groups. She told me I was being negative, and that she'd put too much work into this to cancel it now. Then she hung up. I called her back and told her she needed to cancel it. She said no. I told her Trevor was going to be humiliated. She said I was projecting. I asked if she'd even considered what Trevor wanted. She said she was his mother, and knew what was best for him. The party started at 6 p.m., and I needed to get him there by 6:30. I told her I wasn't doing that. She hung up again. I left work early and got home around 3 p.m. Trevor was at the kitchen table doing homework. He looked up and asked if everything was okay. I explained that his mom had planned a surprise party, that it was happening in 3 hours, and that she expected me to bring him there. His face went completely white. He stood up and said he didn't want to go, that he'd been looking forward to a quiet dinner all week, and the thought of walking into a room full of people staring at him made him feel sick. I told him we weren't going, that I was going to handle it. He looked so relieved he almost started crying. He nodded and went upstairs. I drove to the community center. When I walked in, the place was fully decorated. Balloons everywhere. A huge banner with Trevor's name, tables set up with food, and my wife in the middle directing people. She saw me and smiled, asking if I was there to help. I told her I needed to talk to her outside. Once we were in the parking lot, I told her the party was off. She laughed like I was joking. I said Trevor didn't want this, that I told him about it, and that he'd asked not to come. Her smile disappeared. She asked why I would tell him. I said because he deserved to know his birthday plans were being hijacked. She said I'd ruined the surprise. I told her there was no surprise to ruin because we weren't coming. She said I had no right to make that decision. I said she had no right to ignore what Trevor explicitly asked for. She told me she'd spent over $2,000 on this party. I asked if she'd spent 5 minutes thinking about whether Trevor would actually want it. She said he was 16 and needed to stop being so antisocial. I told her he wasn't antisocial. He was introverted, and there was nothing wrong with that. She said I was enabling him. I said she was steamrolling him. Then she said if I didn't bring Trevor, she'd go get him herself. I told her if she did that, she'd be choosing a party over her son's comfort. She stared at me for a long moment, then said I was being cruel. I went back inside and told everyone there'd been a miscommunication, and the party was canceled. My wife stood there silent while people started packing up. One of Trevor's classmates, a kid named Ben, who's actually one of his close friends, came up and said Trevor had mentioned he just wanted a quiet birthday. He said he'd only come because my wife insisted. When I got home, Trevor asked if we could still do the steakhouse. We went to dinner, just the two of us. Trevor talked more during that meal than he had in months. My wife didn't come home until almost midnight. The next morning, Trevor thanked me for canceling the party. My wife overheard him and left the room.